Okay, for 2 weeks of top-class five-star competition coming to you from this wonderful historied venue that has seen the world's best competing throughout its time and welcomes the big stars of today onto its beautiful lawns once again. A no more spectacular backdrop around the world you will find than this one, and so we will try to stay up with the backdrops and of course the stage set here. And we're starting off with our first of two classes for the five-star, and this is with Toro Parada and Bacot in this opening two-phase competition with time allowed of 43 and 32 across those two phases. And our course designer here this week is Anthony D'Ambrosio of the US, joining us this week, and then we're off to France with Gregory Baudot next week. 2 weeks of five-star, 2 weeks of massive Grand Prix as well, 2 weeks of team competition. We've doubled up and looking forward to what's going to be a packed rundown with everything in there too, from evening performances, auctions of course with La Silla, linked to that fabulous breeding program as well. The changeover between the two sections, he just hops over the Pinata fence, the little style there, and the rollback here as part of this two-phase special here this afternoon. It's big classes all the way with a long list of those here for the two-star, and of course young horse classes, which you'd expect with the lovely history of the horses produced through La Silla, are going to be all on the schedule for the next couple of weeks coming up. So La Silla fence to finish off, 32.65. Overall score of 5, 4 in the first phase, 1 in the second for Toro Parada and Bacot as the first to go of this class. That's how it looks here in Monterey. Wonderful look up to the mountains behind. Vast VIP, but vast grandstands as well, ready for lots of those coming to watch over the weekend as well, and coming to watch stars like Carl Cook. Not only a star of Team Helios that have been sweeping the board with 4 wins so far in the team competition, but of course the winner of the Hampton Classic Grand Prix as well this year. Coming on with Caillou. Caillou has won a number of Grand Prix and been placed for him over this horse's illustrious career. 15 years of age now on this Holsteiner by Casal. With Carl, of course, the five-star riders with us for generally both weeks of competition. 2 major Grand Prix coming up, $400,000 in the prize fund, and that's just over 8 million Mexican as well in terms of their currency here. So a lot on the table over the next 2 weeks here, and with Caillou building back into these big Grand Prix classes. Of course, we've seen Kalinka coming up for Carl into those big classes over the last 12 months or so as well, but Caillou has been such a fabulous grey for him. And just going to go for the changeover. Should just be inside the time there yet. 40.61 time allowed of 43 in phase 1 on the rollback. If they're going to take a spin, they're not going to go chasing this class, but it looks a bit of a lovely chance to see Caillou just picks up so tidily in front. Carl from California to the little birdhouse fence, and literally little emulated, I think it's canaries sitting on those. Down to the last, and again picks up nicely there. 31.29 without too much trouble at all. It is round for a clear for Carl Cook, and Caillou leads the way so far, very early stages in what's 2 classes coming up. Over 50 in this, 55 was on the starting sheet. We're going to see 47 in a big jump-off class later on today as well. First appearance since her big win in Mexico just 2 weeks ago at Tommy there in the 5-star Grand Prix. Bliss Here's Antidote de Mars winner there, and in fact she was the victor ahead of Carl Cook that we've just seen. He was on a different horse then, but Antidote de Mars is the same ride that won that big Grand Prix there. The 12-year-old by de Montesemi, and with her she's got a great record, of course, in Mexico. Finished top 3 in the Atomic Grand Prix last year as well. We'll welcome back last year's Monterey Grand Prix winner as well. That was Irishman Paul O'Shea. Returns to the scene of success this time around. Who will lift the trophies this year? We'll have to wait and see. We're going to say 2 editions this time, so we've gone bigger and better here into this wonderful stadium, because this was a stage for many major international shows through the 90s as well, and they're very much on the campaign at the moment to Be Legends, which is also highlighting the history here, but how all that we can do to be better in sport and well beyond that as well to help each other. But the legends have all competed here throughout the 90s, and looking through some of the names from John Whittaker to Marcus Fuchs, the big winners here over the years. But it is a long, long list, including US rider Ann Kosinski. But US rider Bliss Hears is going to put her hand up with Antidote de Mars. Horse in fine fettle and ready to go, and has jumped the first phase, and they've decided they've done enough. So Bliss raises her hand. Thank you very much. Long rein, leisurely little walk out, back to the warm-ups. Jose Antonio Chedraui and H. Lucky Reto on the 10-year-old here for the Mexican rider. Antonio Chedraui, I think, past winner of a Grand Prix here in Monterey through the years. Of course, a revived run of events here over the last few years. And so it's been lovely to see this venue coming back into the top stream of those stadiums around the world. H. Lucky Reto, the 10-year-old Dutch bred horse by Bernini, going back to very lucky Reto for Jose Antonio. Across the centre, being keen to get there so far at the La Silla Vertical. Again, so wonderfully coloured, tailored, produced fence, and nicely produced rounds so far. Just keeping a tight hold as they get to the double there, because very easy to have that last part of that Benorte fence down, and then they go on to phase two. A little white pole just hanging there for them. It was clear through phase one at 41.83. Leading time, of course, from Carl Cook at 31.29. Going to be just a little fraction behind that. We're just holding up the power till really letting it go to later on in the week. On the two-time, 33.24. So just on two there for Jose Antonio Chedraui of Mexico and Reto. So there the replay. Jordan Coyle now of Ireland. Picador, 15-year-old British bred, in fact, horse by Lupicor, line of Kind of Magic. Jordan, who was with us in Atomi, then headed up to Washington, as several did. Had a very good run there last week. In fact, was a joint winner of the Puissance amongst other classes, but also had success with wins in Atomi as well, as we saw. He and we will be headed to California in a few weeks' time, where he won the Grand Prix to close out last year as well. Desert Horse Park. Picador's been the horse that he's tended to go to as well in the final rounds, because often his team getting into the final stages of those Major League team competitions, he'd want to take a fast spin around. Test them out, just gets a little flatter on the way out there. Coming home on the 4 at the moment. And on the 4 at 29.81, so a little bit quicker time, but on the one fence down for Jordan Coyle, Indian River as well. Change in the team for the Crusaders, and we talked much a few weeks ago about the changes in the teams. Crusaders had a complete change of team after a transfer window. Backward vertical to moving quietly on this 8-year-old. Again, a lovely experience for this horse to get into this fabulous international arena here in La Silla. Just a little bit of movement down the ground. It actually almost looks more of a slope onto the screen than it actually is in real life as they come around there. It's braked into completion of the first phase.
They take the
power off as they go round the corner. That's Skinny. He's kept a nice pace about this as well. Won't be far off, might even just squeak to the leading score, we will see, but it is one you're going to be satisfied with a nice 8-year-old going round in 31.43. A good educational round for Omar van der Hunters. Gets a good look around this fabulous big grass arena with Rupert Winkelman, and we'll see them in 2 second place, in fact, 31.43. Carl Cook leading with Caillou on a score of 31.20.
Y el tiempo batir sin falta 31 segundos 29 centésimas.
Patricia Pascal now, and Alicia for the Mexican ride. Another 8-year-old here, and so this one's in fact Mexican bred by Presley Boy, and on the line of Candela and Corneta Obolensky. So this is going to be a very interesting one to see. We saw this actually a couple of weeks ago in Tommy, of course. Interesting to see the next generation of those Presley boys that keep coming through. Of course, there was a former ride of Jaime Azcárraga, Mexico, and then went on to Khaled Alid of Saudi Arabia. It's around Europe as well. With winning the Grand Prix of Gijón over in Spain. And went so brilliantly. I remember watching them actually on the Global Tour at the Abu Dhabi event there back in those days. I think that was the final back then. So fantastically well-produced horse that went onto the top stage. So through that first phase, okay. 41.04 for Patricia Pascal and Alicia. Again, highly successful Mexican rider. So competing at the World Championships this year. Obviously not on this horse, this is an 8-year-old. Just gets a little close to that oxer. Vector, vertical, and then setting up the last. Again, a little bit of youth about them, but lovely to see that combination in action. 4 jumping 5 time is going to be one to watch out for the 8-year-old Alicia and Patricia Pascal. 9 in total. Come into sight for Vanessa Mannix, and 9-year-old this time. Moving up in age range. Another British bred one actually on the Anglo-European stud book by Ustinov, Kingston. And Kingston got a whole new level 2 weeks ago, having finished 3rd in the Grand Prix in San Miguel at the 5-star there. And we attended 9 years of age. It's, Vanessa, who's had a host of very good horses, including Katinka at the moment, which will probably be her leading horse in the main 5 stars. But this one stepped up so fantastically there 2 weeks ago to put themselves right in the ribbons for that big class, and now to try and follow on from that. Having a very good season, having been placed in Spruce Meadows up in Canada throughout. She's on the teams for the Show Plus Northern Lights, mainly Canadian squad there. She's actually from Calgary, Alberta. quietly. It's going to be a different week of expectations maybe for this pair. We'll see after that good run in San Miguel. Puts a toe on the little skinny there, not one that's going to catch quite a few. Pops that away. The week of building in confidence from that run and balancing expectations of what they want to move on to. On the 4 so far. Nicely done. Confident shoot at the last fence, 32-39. Leaves them with time in both the phases. 1 in phase 1, 43.02, and 5 in phase 2 with the fence turn out time fault at 32-39 there for Erin Ballard and Gakir. In fact, her World Championship ride for Erin. She finished top 3 up in Canada, up at the Toronto stage at Angelstone in the Grand Prix there. Different ride on that occasion. Used to wins down in Florida at the start of the season for this multiple championship rider for the Canadians. Gakir, who've a good list of 5-star competitions behind them now. Lovely afternoon here in Monterey, just warming up now. Morning fog has cleared. Right up at the stunning mountains behind. Some pretty impressive horse flesh to watch as well. Nice tidy turn. Again, a good chance in this class to just experiment, if you like, practice for those later on as well. Although it's a nice class to get a good ribbon in, it's also going to be some bigger money coming out through over the next few days. So, see, she got a nice rehearsal of the turns and the rollback, and there we go. Rounded a clear in 29.58, just put enough pace on there to get ahead. And again, that helps build the confidence throughout the week. Big hair on the grey. She was on the chestnut. There we go. It is the clear 29.58. Gakir for Erin Ballard. Ignacio Morin and Aquarela B. Ignacio running for Argentina. And on a 9-year-old here. Check right by Arista B, and goes along the lines of Aristo Z as well. For Ignacio, having finished well in Grand Prix here, in fact, back into April of this year, finished top 3 in what was a 3-star Grand Prix. They have a tour here in April as well. Come home on the perfect run after phase 1. Just onto 41.5. Just inside the time allowed. 43 is that time allowed. Number 10, representing Ironman Paul O'Shea. Just puts a little bit of pace on down that line. He's looking to get ahead here, and he might well do if he keeps this up. And there we go, nice round at 20, I think about 27, but we'll get that confirmed. And 28.04 for Argentina's Ignacio Morin, and Aquarela B will make us the new leader of this class, 28.04. Erin Ballard and Kia now into second, 29.58. And Carl Cook and Paul O'Shea, like I said, returning to the scene of success. Won here with a horse called Chancelloress, the Trelawney Farm back last year. And here today with Squirt Gun. Usually his ride in the team classes. Squirt Gun, 11 years of age now for Eldorado. Or Paul. Paul also headed to Washington last week in between the Major League shows. Won a very Grand Prix in Spruce Meadows back into September. The first of 2 weeks in the September shows, the second week being the multi-million-dollar one, the first week being just for a lot of money. And then finished second in the Grand Prix in Greenwich just a few weeks ago on the grass there. Lovely show that was into its second year, new birth of a show that was at Greenwich Polo Club under the guidance of Kent Farrington. That one developing nicely as well. Looking forward to that show growing again into 2023. In the meantime, on the established turf here in Monterey, Paul O'Shea, Squirt Gun. I would think they will have team class on their minds here this week. Class to come up later, more spread out in the timetable here this week with I think just the 1 5-star class here on tomorrow's lineup, and also with Hellcat here, jump in the later class. Also brings Chancelloress later on into this class, which was his winner. So far, not too much out of the tank. There we go. 33.02. Paul O'Shea going into 5th place so far with Squirt Gun for the Irishman. Juan Ortiz now, and the rider for Venezuela, Odiel VDM, another 8-year-old here, Spanish bred in fact. By Dumont Semi, but at the line of Utila Horta, which was back to Vigo das Sueños, which was the horse that Philippe Lejeune rode to win the World Championships in 2010. So again, some, as with all the horses really at this level, some high-class breeding in there. Surprised not to be these days, but also has all the credentials to potentially have a big jump. There's a little look of Vigo back into the bloodlines here. Shows up with this 8-year-old, 8 and 9 as we mentioned in this class. Get a really good chance for those horses with 2 weeks of competition on the ground here. Through the first round without any trouble at 39.82.
Number 13, representing USA, Jacob Ford.
Coming home with a clear as well. This won't be too far away. 29 exactly, so finish on the clear for Juan Ortiz, and Odiel Verdier really picks up there, swish the tail too to make it look even more exuberant. But a very tidy looking horse that's coming through the ranks well. Got the legs out of the way there neatly, and leaves them into 2nd place so far. Odiel Verdier and Juan Ortiz also on the team for the Show Plus Northern Lights. Ignacio Morin of Argentina leads on 28.04. Jacob Pope now in Cento SA, his first time here on a 9-year-old. In fact, this year really the first year he's been coming into the FEI classes, but he's already got a very good record behind him, both through equitation and through the Hunters and through national jumping as well. Has now moved up to a whole new level and handling it very well, of course. In Cento SA is by Cardento, this Dutch bred ride for Jacob. Grand Prix winner into Traverse City in Michigan. Expect much in the summer. He shows there alongside the Great Lakes, but of course it is a change of weather season now. Traverse City being tucked away for the winter. In comes the likes of Monterey in the beautiful sunshine. See the flickers across your screen. Those are butterflies just drifting undisturbed and unperturbed by the riders and horses here this week. Just all part of nature and the ecosystem. Nice turn back there. Again, another tiny practice on this. Really nice horse. Got a good scopy jump about it. And Jacob very good at finding the right spot. Really has developed well over the last few months. Saw them in Traverse City as well in some classes back into September. And each time up a gear and stretches out nicely over the last 28.57. So that will put him in second place for Jacob Pope, who's actually on the Spy Coast team. So it's going to be their probably biggest tests here this week. Also, I think with a couple of horses, he's also of course Highway as well. Natalie D now, and a Kota M, 9-year-old, by too long for the Californian rider. He actually won over to the west coast of the US in Sacramento a few weeks ago. One further up country, Spruce Meadow, in September in the 3-star, and was top with a winning round in Ottawa for the team for Team Logano. Team Logano is still with a bit of work to do, unfortunately, at the bottom of the table of the overall team competition for Major League. Of course, we're entering stage number 7. 8 will, of course, be next week, and that leaves us 2 more to come in California. California, looking forward to that again, as we saw last year at the Desert Horse Park, all the various moves up and changes there. Really big step forward with that event, with the grass arena that we saw the first week under the lights in that newly established stadium this time around as well. But in the meantime, we're on the grass here in Monterey. Just lets them drift a little bit with a Kota beyond that skinny.
Number 15, representing USA, Alexis Sokolov.
Of course, Chance Sainel. Of course, and if you've been following it, of course. So that's one to look forward to. 30.68, she was also competing indoors in the World Cups last week in Washington. Goes top 5 for Natalie, and Kota M on the 9-year-old, a German-bred horse there for Natalie. I'd say Team Logano for her. She will go a little further down the line. We see another grey coming in, and that's Calciette EBZ, 9-year-old too. Belgian-bred horse by Cornel Walensky for Alexis Sokolov for the US rider. First year for her, for the 21-year-old, into the big 5-star competitions as well. As we saw, she was second in Otomi just a week or so ago in the classes there, and again that should build good confidence for Alexis, and she's been coming up nicely in this first year for her. Look at the Major League fence now through the Bernardi vertical through there, okay, and just with the one-time fault in phase 1 at 43.08, say 2-phase special, so they'll keep going if they want. That point of view.
Pues la presenta el señor Arturo Baladacer para el 16.
Left round for Alexis. Trains with Connor Swale. 5 once again this week. Good to see that. He had a terrific few weeks as well. Having won in Washington last week and gone well in Otomi, then heads back. Alexis, though, really nicely done. Doesn't worry too much about the time. Picks up one time fault in each section, but for her, a good confidence builder out on the hallowed turf here in La Silla. So we'll finish with 2 time in total. 1 for the first, 1 for the second, 32. Arturo Porrada is joining us now in Wisconsin. Mexican rider. Wisconsin, another 9-year-old. This one by Winning Moose. This was the very good, successful horse. Just loses a shoe. With Luciano Diniz. And although he felt that, I may say, yeah, he's going to tip that. We're going to carry on. Just unfortunately rolled off. And he's done enough with Wisconsin. Eduardo de Menezes and Gervonta Cini. Now a horse that came from Belgium, the 11-year-old Dutch-bred Gervonta, which is by Zambezi Tia. That's Gervonta. Eduardo, a long, strong list for the Brazilian rider. It includes having won Team Gold at the Pan Am Games in 2019. Nations Cup again this year. 5 stars. Central Payne tournament, finished second. Brussels in the Grand Prix there. 2 at the Stefek show. Gentle swirl of butterflies and over the naughty fence without too much trouble. The tiny riders to watch. Stuck in the corner. A little look around, not quite sure where they'd fully worked that one out, but anyway, after a full stop start, we're back and running again.
Representing Mexico, Andrés Ajarragati de la Torres.
Other than losing a little bit of time, gives them 2 times, 33.15. That coming to the first fence, and then later to the Major League Fence without trouble at all. Again, really tidy the action. Andreas Azcárraga and Zaman. The 11-year-old for the Mexican rider. Father Jaime, I mentioned a little bit earlier on, of course, that rider of Presley Boy. 11-year-old by Centadel. The next generation, Mexico, of course, for its show jumping sport, has long family connections. Often see grandchildren, those that have reached the top level competing these days. Without too much trouble. There we go, and through the first phase that he was. Nice tidy roll back there. Started the money just a week or so ago in San Miguel. Going to have a little bit of time, I would think, there, but overall, nice round to set them up for the week. Forthcoming, and the 11-year-old, which is by Centadel for Andrés Azcárraga. 3 for time will be
Ignacio Maurín de Argentina tiene ese tiempo, el siguiente Jacob Pope de Estados Unidos, Juan Ortiz de Venezuela, Cuarto lugar, Indica Real de Canadá.
Paula Amalimia now, Tokai. 12-year-old Holsteiner by Lord Z from K Classic Lady, which is by Coronado for riding for Mexico now. Partner, of course, Federico Fernandez, who's a multiple Olympian as well. She's a highly decorated rider too. World Championships previously, 2014 in Normandy. Former rider for Spain, which is where she hails from originally. Finished one of the Grand Prix here in Jalapa back in March. And there's been a bit more of a geographical turn to her year, having been placed from Spruce Meadows up in Calgary, Alberta, to Saint-Tropez, southern areas of France. There's the pine trees there, and strolling along the beach cliffs. Tokai just seeing a little bit more action now on this 12-year-old.
19 ahorita. Hagan de Villar, presentado por Lily Keenan, se prepara el 20, Carolina Moranchi, represent USA.
There. So again, it's a good chance for him to see the fences in the arena here as well. Here this week, some beautifully presented, bright-coloured obstacles to tackle. Just on 2 time at 32.1, and so it's 1 time fault in each section, finishing on a score of 2 for Paula Amalimia and Tokai, 12-year-old. Another very good grey is Argan de Belliard, and aboard is Lily, another very good rider for the USA. And Lily on the World Championship team for the US this year. Argan, the 12-year-old by Milord Katago, came from California. Well, actually was ridden by Luis Sabino Gonzalez of Portugal. He actually went well in the Grand Prix down in California. He came over to Florida at one point. And anyway, they exchanged forces, and it's been a very nice partnership throughout 2022 for Lily. She was, as I say, the World Championship team, finished second in the 5-star class amongst several of those in Atomi, and actually pairing that finished second in a nice Grand Prix in the Netherlands. Also that she was riding a few weeks ago here in Mexico. There's going to be a second horse for her to come into this class a little later on. 50 or so in total. It's very quickly turned into a Grand Prix team horse for her, ready to go this season. 12 years of age, perfect time. Drift too far, coming rounding off the walls there. Completely in front through the double. 3 time in that first section, by the way, 45.44. Again, won't cause too many night sweats. Just keen to get a nice, smooth, rhythmical round here, which is what they're doing. And a good outing for them. Finishing on 3 in total, those just coming from the first section, 31. 84, you can see of that major league, that's why they're doing so well in some big classes so far. Very capable of seeing those fences go up a few more holes yet. Lily Keenan into 13th. Federico Fernandez, Romeo, an 11-year-old French-bred grey by Lando. Rider of Sotis Dui and Cheers Cassini. Federico, highly decorated, as I say. Mexican rider, 6 World Championships, 3 Olympic Games, finished top 4 in San Miguel with us a few weeks ago, top 5 in the Jalapa Grand Prix as well. That's where they stage the Nations Cup this year. Next year it heads to San Miguel, venues there, so we're involved in the launch of that just a week or so ago as well. So we'll be heading on to that familiar venue for those that have been watching Major League Jumping. for the Americas. The one we visit, of course, is Thunderbird in Vancouver, with that doubled-up show between Nations Cup and Major League over 2 weeks. And the US to stage there.
Clear
for that first phase.
Entering number 21, representing USA, Andy Davis Hennigan.
That should come home with a couple of zeros. Going to be one time though, 32.88. So Clino, the fences, 1 for time for Federico Fernandez and Romeo. Erin Davis Heineken, NKH Cento Blue. Christian, I think, rode the winning round here in the teams last year. Back on the Roadrunners team. In fact, was one of those signings that came in for the second half of the season. 12-year-old Oldenburg, German-bred by Sentinel, out of Gloria Blue, which you may guess is on Chaco Blue lines. Top few to remind you, Ignacio Morin leading on Aquarela B. It's Jacob Pope in second so far, and Cento SA Juan Ortiz in third, just close to that first part of the wagon wheel double. This first 40 not going to take too much out of the tank of some of these big players for the week. Good chance to get it prioritised.
Dave Landine, number 22, representing Ireland, Reggie Moloney.
And there we go. We'll get home with a clear 31.78. And just going to leave them on the 4 there for Erin Davis Heineken and NKH Cento Blue. See there. That's the wheel double. Richie Maloney, another new signing into the second part of the season for the Irishman. Roxy Music. Highly accomplished Irish rider based in the US, as he has been for quite some time now. It's from the American Gold Cup 5-star success up in the US, and now joining into the Major League Jumping Series to say these group events. Double saw well, our final 5. We see 10 through the season. Our final 5 involve just 3 venues, of course, with doubled up runs in California and here in Monterey. Again, that gives a good opportunity to get used to the venue, although California plays with you a little bit because we go to the same venue but 2 different arenas. This experienced 14-year-old, again, not needing to go to the races here, but just going to get used to this arena. Plenty of time in that first phase as well, take them to a total of 12, but again with 2 phase special, keep on rolling.
Representing Mexico, Miguel Ángel Torres Hernández.
Richie Maloney finishing with time in there as well, so that'll take him to a total of 18. So 12 in the first, 6 in the second, 37-77 Richie.
37 centésimas, 18 points, 37-77.
Miguel Angel Torres now, and Jacendra, 13-year-old by Chaco Blue. Double at 3. Say thank you very much. So Miguel Angel Torres and Jacendra decided to retire by the looks of it. So from there we go to John Perez, Gigi Carmen. This could be a very fast combination. For those that watched this pairing before, one class is from Florida up to going very well in Atomi just last week as well. He's joined the Atomi Warriors team this year. Again steps up individually for Colombia. Actually rode here, rode for the La Silla setup, which has been one of the leading sporting setups for breeding horses. Rode young horses for them back in the early part of his career. Also headed over to Europe to do the same. So a little bit of coming back to home ground. Gigi Carmen by Bacardi VDL. Encouragement there. Can be a little bit quirky, this horse, in the warming up, but is fast and does deliver when they get in the ring. A little bit tight as the first part of the double. And coming nicely so far. Just studying to the vector vertical. And won't be far away for time. Leading time is 28.04. Going to be a little bit off that, but not too bad. 31.42 going to be inside the time there for John Perez to go into 7th place with Gigi Carmen. Rodrigo Lamre of Brazil, and Chiquitos PS, a 9-year-old by Chaco Blue. Rodrigo, one of 2 Brazilians competing here this week. Also on the team that were Team Gold in the Pan Ams in 2019. Finished second in the 2-star Grand Prix, as we watched a week or so ago in Atomi. So well back in May as well. He's been a highly prolific winner both in Mexico and in the US. Keeps a nice balanced spin round back to the double, but unfortunately just unravels in the second part.
Number 26, representing Ireland, Conor Swale.
And there we go. We'll just possibly tip them over the time allowed. Yes, just onto the 1, 32.07. Just the one time fault there for Rodrigo Lambre. And Jaquitos also a busy rider himself. Finished on the score. 1 fence down there. 2 for Rodrigo. We will go on to Conor Swale now, the world number 5, on a very good run too for the Irishman. We saw him, of course, just a couple of weeks ago in Tommy. Of course, he's very rarely out of the money. And since then, won up in Washington in America just last week as well in the World Cup qualifier. His second World Cup qualifier win of the year so far, having won in Sacramento. So it keeps them up there amongst the world's elite as it stands right now. We'll see him go a little bit further up there. We will see him. Look out for him here this week. Gamble, the 11-year-old Dutch-bred gelding by Vingina. Good opportunity over these 2 weeks, 2 massive Grand Prix, 400 plus $1,000 in the prize funds in them. Some big players heading down here to Monterey. Just a little hesitant there at the Major League fence. Very tidy turn there again. Good practice opportunity from the Pinata Skinny. Tightest I think we've seen a lot, but again, just giving them a nice check out to keep the balance there, which we'll use no doubt later on into the week as well. And should bring them home very tightly. 28.04 to beat. He looks as though he might be our new leader at 27.58. There we go, Conor Swale and Gamble, not having to go too far into the well of talent. But it is nicely done because they have such a sea of success. Again, continues with a very good set of horses, as he was talking about last week as well. So looking forward to seeing him again here. So 20%, of course, up to events in Washington. Jose Antonio Chedraui and Mighty Mouse, Mexican. And owned by Gerardo Pascal, this 16-year-old Zangazai-bred gelding by Shangri-La Duisdag. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier on about the continued family lines in the Mexican show jumping scene, the Chedraui name being carried on. Jose Antonio saw a little bit earlier on his father competing. As he was former winner here, then this generation also picking up the baton too. Just a little bit stronger on the grey coming into this double so far. Gets the control back. There are a lot of big classes, and has got plenty of pace once let loose. Just goes a little bit further than maybe would have wanted after the Skinny drifts on there.
Number 29, representing USA, Natalie.
Home tidily enough so far. Just going to run close to the time. 32.23, just the one for time there for Jose Antonio Chedraui and Mighty Mouse for Mexico still leading, as we saw just a few moments ago. Conor Swale putting up the new leading time with Gamble at 27.58. Ignacio Morin of Argentina is second with Krala B, and Jacob Pope with Center at the moment. takes us into Natalie Dean and Camilla Dean for the USA. We've already seen her round a little bit earlier on, coming into some of those second rides, and so we're going to come into second commentator as well. Going to hand over to Hannah Robson now for the remainder. Natalie, just back also, she was with us in Atomi, she was with us in Washington. Hannah was with us in Atomi as well, and she's back with us in Monterey. Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's lovely to be here. We're sitting in the sunshine. We've got quite the beautiful view, but it's certainly quite a warm spot here. Just this arena is just stunning with these mountains all around.
Absolutely. It's an absolutely, well, unrivaled curtain behind this event. Yeah, absolutely top draw. Natalie Dean looking to match up to some of that this week. So with Camilla D here now for the US rider. Hannah, it's time for you and Natalie to take over the reins.
And just like that. Yes, she's been having a really good time with this horse recently. They've had some very good rounds. They were actually 4th in the 5-star winning round competition at our Major League show back in August. That was one of the Canadian legs. And then also she's been competing on the team. You can see the small logo just to the left-hand side of her name indicates that she is a rider for Team Lugano. And she jumped a really nice double clear for the team in Angelstone at our Toronto leg of the Major League Tour this year. Had some great performances for them, and they're a team that have just been working to gel together over the last few legs. They had a great win in Ottawa, but a couple of trickier performances, but this is looking very, very good indeed, and certainly a performance that I'm sure will give the team some confidence for the legs to come and for the days to come here in Monterey. So a lovely double clear for Natalie and Camilla D. 29.86 is her time. That's going to slot her into 6th place. Now the times at the top of the leaderboard are actually really quite tight. Connor Swale, of course, being in the lead with that great time in the second phase of 27.58 seconds. It's then about half a second down to Ignacio Morin, the Argentinian rider, 28.04, and then just about half a second again down to Jacob Pope with Incento SA. He is, of course, in 3rd. We move on now to another rider who's been a key part of the team competitions. This is Caitlin Campbell. And she rides Emir here this afternoon. This lovely Dutch-bred 13-year-old horse by Eurocommerce Dubai, out of a Cardento mare. And this is a horse that she's been riding since May of this year. Previously, this was ridden by the Argentinian rider Fabian Sejan, who I believe is on some of our start lists for a little later in the week. So that will be another name for you to keep an eye out for as the competition progresses. It's also a horse that's been competed by Alberto Michan in the past as well. So quite the star-studded list of riders on this horse's CV already. This is actually the horse that went to the Tokyo Olympics, in fact, with Fabian Sejan, and also jumped in the Nations Cup competition at Wellington with him. Really nicely through the double combination, but just unfortunately a little bit close to that black and white Oxa on the way out of there. Also now well into the second phase. But gets good height over a lot of these fences, so yeah, I think the distance just was a little short for them, and you can just see that they get a bit close and so take the front rail out. But it's just the one fence down, it's 4 faults in the second phase and just over 30 seconds. And to drop them down into 21st place with that 30.7 seconds finish. Top 3, if you are just joining us, is Connor Swale, Ignacio Morin, and then Jacob Pope. And then riding out into the 4th spot is Juan Ortiz, and Erin Ballard takes 5th at the moment for Canada. So really a pretty international lineup in our top 5 so far. Ireland, Argentina, America, Venezuela and Canada all represented in the top 5 so far. And we move on now to another rider on home turf. This is the Mexican competitor Tanimara Maria Macari Carrillo, or in fact who often simply goes by Tanimara Macari. Her horse here today is Cordelia GPZ. This horse has Heartbreaker breeding on the dam side and is just a 10-year-old, so one that's just really building up a really nice partnership with Tanimara. Good pace down to that Oxer, doesn't make anything of that distance there. You're nicely through the middle of the arena, just on these curving lines, on these two related distances. 28.94 is a really good time. It's going to put her into 4th place. Double clear, and yes, 28.94 is the time. Just sneaks ahead of Juan Ortiz. His time was 29 seconds exactly. And she's just a little bit behind the time of Jacob Pope. 28.57 was his time. Of course, we have quite a lot of action to bring you over the course of the 4 days of 5-star show jumping action here this week. And here is another rider who I'm sure we'll see throughout the duration of the competitions, and she will be riding in the team competition as well. This is Vanessa Mannix, and as you can see, she is on the Show Plus Northern Lights team. Have a little bit of a different format this week if you've been following the Major League Series. So this week we have the team competition on Sunday. And that follows the Grand Prix, the 5-star Grand Prix, which will be on Saturday. Tomorrow we have another 5-star speed class, so plenty of action to come. So Vanessa Mannix then for that Show Plus Northern Lights team, and for Canada rides Carmela Z. This is a horse that she owns herself, and this is her relatively new ride. Their first international show together was at the Major League Show in Ottawa. The horse was developed by Jenny Rankin of Ireland and was ridden by Jenny to quite a lot of success over the 2021 and 2022 season.
Representing Mexico, Andres Azcárraga.
Gets a very good pace up towards the end there, and it's quite a well-designed course actually, that once they get through the double and then the Oxer coming out of there, they can get a bit of a pace up. So 29.25, and it's a double clear as well. Vanessa Mannix goes into 6th place, slots just behind her teammate on the Show Plus Northern Lights team, Juan Ortiz, who still sits in 5th. Vanessa, though, in that 6th spot.
Y el tiempo para ti sigue siendo 27 segundos 58 centésimas en cabeza hasta el momento con nuestro de Irlanda. Lo sigue de Argentina Ignacio Maurín.
Well, on to another Mexican competitor now. It's the turn of Andre Azcárraga Rivera Torres, and his ride this afternoon is Contendros 2. Horse that is by Contendro, as the name may suggest. 15-year-old now. German-bred horse. Quite a good turnout of the Mexican riders here in Monterrey. And a bit of a home venue for them. This is the second of 3 Major League show jumping legs in Mexico. Because we had that one leg just a couple of weeks ago in San Miguel de Allende. And now we have 2 weeks back-to-back here in Monterrey, and what a venue for it. Andres took this horse to the Nations Cup competition in Barcelona very recently, just at the start of October, about a month ago. A couple of fences down in those rounds, but certainly very prestigious to be selected for the team there. He's also competed in the Longines EEF Nations Cup of Madrid. That's the European Equestrian Federation's series, replaced the old Division 2 Nations Cup. The winner of that and progresses up to the first division. Also competed this horse in a number of high-profile Grand Prix in Centaur Park, Valkenswaard, just to give you a couple of those, Arezzo, so quite a few miles on the clock in Europe this year for this combination. Just having a little bit of a steady circle around here. Of course, these early competitions are a really good opportunity for the riders and horses to really get a feel of the arena here. You know, we've got 4 days of top-level sport to come. And many of these riders will either be aiming for the Grand Prix or for the team competition, so it's a brilliant opportunity for them really to get the hang of this arena. It's a beautiful footing grass arena in here, and it's a relatively large arena. It's not the largest that we've had, but it's sort of spans quite a long way lengthwise from end to end, and really just gives such a beautiful view of these mountains all the way around. Well, Andres, as you could of course see, retired in the second phase, and we move on now to the young American rider Mimi Goshman, who has Cosmos BH, and this young lady is extremely talented. She competed at the Youth Olympic Games that was held in Aachen. Bronze medal for her there. She has some really good rides at the moment. This one is a 9-year-old. Hugely prestigious to be selected to represent her country at that Youth Championships. There's a rider who's also competed at the North American Youth Championships in the past as well. And she's getting quite a pace up there to the end as well. This is a really good time, 27.11. My goodness me. Great, great time from Mimi Goshman and Cosmos BH. But unfortunately, a fence down is going to drop her into 22nd place for that second phase result. Now, had she kept the fence up, she would have taken the lead. As it happens, Connor Swale is still our leading rider. 27.58 is his time. Well, from one American rider to another, we have Carl Cook in the ring now. Carl rides Kalinka Vanta Zorgvliet. Another combination that I'm sure you will recognise from our previous legs of the Major League Series. Carl is 57th in the Longines World Rankings at the moment, as of last month. Won the Hampton Classic, that really prestigious 5-star Grand Prix, just a couple of months ago. That was back in September. It's also 7th in our Major League 5-star Grand Prix at Traverse City, just out of fence down there. A fast round to get that 7th place. Also competed in the 5-star Grand Prix that we had at our Major League leg in Vancouver, and then jumped in the very same competition the following week at the Nations Cup show. But he feels he's done enough here today. As I say, it's a great opportunity for them to really get a feel of the arena, and that really is what Carl has been doing here. This horse is quite hot, and certainly is a horse that would benefit from a look around the arena and a bit of a jump around some of these fences. So Carl Cook and Kalinka Vanta Zorgvliet. He puts his hand up and he retires from this competition, but definitely a name to have on your radar for the rest of the week, because they have been absolutely on fantastic form. They were actually second in our 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel de Allende just a couple of weeks ago as well, so that tells you how on form they are. Just pipped to the post by Bliss. Here's there. Another talented American rider to come next, and this is another talented young lady. Lily Keenan rides Kado Minka. She's also a rider who very recently came onto the Major League teams. Of course, we had that mid-season transfer window just before our first trip to Mexico to San Miguel de Allende. That was halfway point of the season, and Lily joined the Trailblazers team. 4 new riders for their team. Certainly giving them a very exciting injection of fresh rider and horse talent. He's really stepping this horse up well this year to the 5-star competitions. Horse has also been ridden by Willem Greve, the Dutch rider. That was until 2021, but going very well with Lily. He was second in a 2-star Grand Prix at Kronenberg in September. Did well in some 5-star classes as well at Wellington earlier this year. And this year alone, she's had this horse in the top 10 times. Very consistent. She's not rushing down here very much, but she's picking up a little bit more pace now. Knows the horse well, knows where she can save a little bit of time, but it's a confidence building round for them in this arena, and certainly just getting them really in the swing of things in this stunning venue. 28.91 though is still an excellent time, and Lily Keenan slots into 4th place. She goes just behind Jacob Pope and drops Tanimara Makari into 5th place. Really nicely done.
Seguimos con el tiempo batido de 27 segundos 58 centésimas de Corozal de Irlanda. Segundo está Argentina.
Second ride now for Jordan Coyle into the ring. This is Costa Diam. This is the horse that was previously ridden by Eden Le Prevost Bin Le Breton, the very talented young French rider. Jordan travelled to the Washington Horse Show last week, had a really good win there. Costa Diam, just a 10-year-old, but he's had this horse in the top 10 8 times so far this year. He's had a couple of fences down in our 5-star Grand Prix at Ottawa in the summer, the Major League show. But Jordan's just becoming ever more consistent. Oh, what a shame. The distance there from the double combination down to that black and white oxer is really quite short, and I think for some of these larger horses, they're just struggling a little bit to not get a bit too close there. So just one fence down, 28.67 is his time in the 2nd phase. He will go into 24th place, but the time is really good, and actually had he kept the fence up, that would have had him in 4th place. So that just really shows you how tight this competition is, and the fact that just the one fence down can drop you down from 4th to 24th. Lots of double clears on the board already. Well, the next horse we have into the ring is Martialis. This is, of course, ridden by Manuel Gonzalez Dufresne, who is another rider for the Trailblazers, also represents Mexico here. Martialis is a 10-year-old gelding by Nabab Derev, out of a Lord Zed mare, very well-bred horse. Plenty of that breeding that we've come to expect, or come to really see very prominently in the top show jumping world very recently. Jumped this horse in our Grand Prix at San Miguel. Just retired in that competition, but great to see them in the 5-star classes there. Also been jumping in some 5-stars at Spruce Meadows, but looks like he's also a little bit of a steady canter down the outside of the arena. So yes, Manuel Gonzalez just heading back towards the in-gate. Now with Marcialis.
Tiempo a batir 27 segundos 58 centésimas.
Dara Kenny comes next, another rider for the Trailblazers, now following that mid-season transfer window. One of those 4 new riders for the team. Dara, of course, extremely experienced competitor. He's been in the world's top 10 in the past, held those sorts of positions for quite some time. He's 25th in the Longines World Rankings at the moment. And he has a really nice string of horses. Has quite a few rides here this week. He also was another competitor that jumped at San Miguel. Rockstar was the horse that he rode in the 5-star Grand Prix there. Also jumps on the GCL team circuit as well. And a key member of the Paris Panthers. And no doubt he will be a key part of the Trailblazers for the second half of this season. Nicely through the double, and it was a very good turn back to the double as well. That will have saved him quite a bit of time. Now comes through the centre of the arena. Again, not wasting any time. All the fences are up. And absolutely demonstrates all of his experience to keep all of those rails up. Double clear and a time in the second phase of 28.86 for Dara Kenny, and he indeed will go into 4th place. He is just 0.05 of a second faster than Lily Keenan, his teammate on the Trailblazers, and so drops her into 5th. He goes into 4th place himself.
86 seconds, 4th place so far. Número 40 de la lista.
On we go then to another key rider on our team competition. This is Erin Ballard, another second ride. Now she brings Narcotique Van Het Dingeshoff forward, who also rides for Canada. Extremely experienced competitor as well. And she's a member of the team Lugano. A horse that she's just been riding since earlier this year, since July in fact. The horse is only a 9-year-old, is by Harley VDL out of a Chaco Blue mare. This is the horse that was previously ridden by Georgia Tame, and earlier than that by Sydney Schulman actually as well. Sydney also rode this horse in the Major League 5-star Grand Prix at Traverse City in the summer. Erin had a great performance with this horse in our Major League 5-star Grand Prix at Angelstone, that venue near Toronto in August. Really good double clear. In 3rd place. It's a very difficult competition there. It's quite a small arena. It's on a sand surface. They really do have to be equipped to deal with a range of sizes of arenas, a range of different surfaces, and Erin Ballard absolutely shows us how it's done. Just the one fence down. 28.29 was her time, so again, you know, that fence down is just making all the difference. The time of 28.29 would have had her in 3rd, but the fence down drops her into 25th place. On then to another Team Lugano rider. It's the turn of Carly Fairty, and she rides Elite Chin de Saulieu. Again, she's been riding on the team quite a few times this year already. She competed for Team Lugano in Toronto, as well as in San Miguel. Sadly, the Team Lugano finishing in 8th place there. This horse was previously ridden by Christophe van der Hasselt of Belgium. Been ridden by Erin Ballard as well in the past. Carly just had one down in the two-star Grand Prix at Ottawa with this horse, but then was 5th and just with a really good double clear in the two-star Grand Prix at Traverse City. So you can see that she's been jumping this horse in the 2 stars, now steps it up to the 5 stars. Nicely done again, just the one down in the second phase. We're having quite a few riders having the similar fences down, that black and white Oxer coming away from the double, causing a couple of problems. The last couple of fences are jumping really quite well, but the one fence down for Carly Fairty in a time of 29.79 will have her in 27th place. Well, we go back now to Paul O'Shea. Again, a second ride for him in this competition. Rode Squirt Gun earlier on. Now, though, brings forward Chancelloress. This is the horse with whom he was 4th in our 5-star Grand Prix at Vancouver. And he was also 2nd in the 5-star Major League Grand Prix at San Miguel last year. 2nd to Ashley Bond. Been jumping very well with this horse already this year so far. Did a double clear for a 2nd in the 2-star Grand Prix at Greenwich in last month. I was about to say earlier this month, just creeps up on you it being November. The year is going extremely quickly. But yes, also been 2nd in the 5-star Grand Prix at Wellington earlier this year as well, and they're around about 50% of the time clear. Paul, very experienced competitor as well, and a key part of Team Eye Candy. Gets quite close to that Oxer, but the horse really picking up. Very quick moving and athletic horse, Chancelloress. One, I think, with the... He was just getting a little bit strong there, and so he's opting to take a circle before the final fence. But clears it very well at the 2nd time of asking. So we'll have some time penalties to add as well. That will give him a total of 18. The final time was 44.67 seconds. And so, yes. It's going to be 18 in total. That's a combination of 1 time penalty in the 1st phase and then 17 penalties in phase 2 for Paul. 36th place is where he'll slot. He's in 19th with Squirt Gun. Interestingly, also had 2 time penalties in phase 2 with Squirt Gun. So, you know, you can really just see that he's taking his time around this course. He's giving the horses time to understand what's being asked of them and giving them a chance to really have a look around this arena, and that could prove invaluable as the week's competitions progress. The top 5 now are a little different to the last time we had a little recap of those. We've got Connor Swale in the lead with Gamble, Ignacio Morin with Aquarela B in 2nd, Jacob Pope's in 3rd with Incento, Lara Kenny is in 4th with Sangris Boy, and Lily Keenan is in 5th with Caddo Minka. On then to a British rider. We don't have very many British riders here in Monterey this week, but Amanda Derbyshire is representing the UK. She rides Cornwall BH. This is a 14-year-old. Amanda also quite an experienced competitor at the very top level, but again looks like she has decided that she's had quite enough of a look around this course already. Raises a hand and retires here. Just wanted to give Cornwall a good look around here. Of course, owned partly by Amanda and partly by Gochman Sport Horses as well.
27 segundos 58 centésimas. Time to beat, 27 and 58. Y lo tiene Irlanda.
Simon McCarthy comes next. He is a rider for our current team competition ranking leaders, who are, of course, Team Helios. Horse he rides here is Andy's boy, Bretonniere. Team Helios, another win for them, a 4th win of the season. That was at San Miguel. They are really running away with that team competition. Simon's been a key part of the team, helped them to wins at Traverse City and Toronto as well. Oh, now he has got some pace up here. A little bit of a skid on the turn. This is a very, very competitive start here. He's very quickly through those fences, straight down the middle of the arena. He's got a few seconds to get home. And my goodness me, that is absolutely the fastest round we've seen, and of course goes into the lead, 25.75. He is nearly 2 seconds faster than Connacht Swale. Simon McCarthy really wanted to have a foot to the floor, really wanted to make his mark at this early stage of the week with Andy's boy Bretonniere, and takes over the lead for Ireland. It's still Ireland in the 1st, 2nd and 5th spot in our leaderboard. But that is going to take some beating. Simon McCarthy, remember that time, 25.75 seconds. Another Mexican competitor up now. This is Miguel Angel Torres Hernandez. Horse he rides is Eldor Blue. This is a 10-year-old German-bred horse by Eldorado van der Zeschuk. Chaco Blue breeding on the dam side. And so combining the Eldorado name with the Chaco Blue name, we've got Eldor Blue. This combination competed at Quapex Pan in October. Jumping up to 4-star level there. They've also been jumping at Guadalajara last month up to 2-star level, and their last 5-star competitions were at Spruce Meadows back in July. Competed here at Monterey in April though, up to 3-star level. Just one fence down in a 3-star Grand Prix there for 13th place. And now one down here already, now a 2nd, as he heads through the centre of the arena once again. 31.03 is his time, and a couple down in the 2nd phase is going to put him into 35th place.
El tiempo a batir rapidísimo, 25 segundos 75 centésimas, subido para Irlanda, hasta el momento tercero Argentina, cuarto para Estados Unidos, quinto para Irlanda.
On then to our next competitor, this is Alberto Sanchez Cozar. Another competitor for Team Mexico. And his ride is Abril Hilcher Z. Our highest placed Mexican competitor so far is Tanamara Macari. She's in 7th. Alberto, no doubt, will be trying to better that. He had a good win at San Miguel early on in the week. Second phase time started. This turn back is, well, it would be included, but a hand goes up for Alberto Sanchez Cozar and Abril Hilcher, and so they retire in that second phase, going to save the horse for another day.
Gracias. En la pista número 48, Caballo presenta a Patricio Pasquel Quintana de México. Okay. Patricio Pasquel Quintana from Mexico.
Patricio Pasquel comes now with Caba Bleu. And we're into the final 10 competitors here. This horse has got a really interesting list of riders on the CV already, including Jordan Coyle, Nicolas Toro, Nikolai Heinroos and Simon Nisri. Very international lineup of previous riders as well. It's a 9-year-old stallion by Cabagnon. Again, Chaco Blue breeding on the dam side. And Patricio has competed the horse up to 3-star level so far, so now taking the opportunity in San Miguel to step up to the 5-star competitions. Again, you know, you can see the distance is a little bit short for the horse, but certainly not causing any problems. Give an angle over that fence in the middle. And nicely down to the last, I think his turn back to those early fences in phase 2 really made up the time. So it's a good time, 29.42. He's going to go into 10th place as it stands. Double clear. Simon McCarthy's time of 25.75 is still out in front. And we do have quite a few double clears in this competition. 16 in fact. We then have 2 competitors with clear in the first phase and then 1 time penalty in the second. There's Antonio Chedraui Prom and Federico Fernandez. And then a few with time penalties in the first phase, second phase or second phase only. And it takes us to get down to 26th place to find our first 4-faulter. That is Mimi Goshman, has the fastest 4 in the second phase. Alexis Sokolov, though, tackling the course now with Fasole du Seigneur. This one is an 11-year-old. And one that Alexis has been riding quite extensively. She jumped this horse in the 5-star 2-phase competition at Vancouver for a 2nd place finish. That, of course, being our Major League first leg back in May. Horse has been competed quite a lot by Connor Swale as well. And Alexis jumped the horse all around Europe in the summer up to the 3-star level in places like Dinard, Valkenswaard and Nokia Peak. Just getting things back together now. Just a little bit of a stumble, and the horse just getting a little bit strong there. So Alexis very wisely just gathering things back up, just taking a moment to regroup and regather. Yeah, it does well to get that back for the double combination. Going to pick up quite a lot of time penalties, but very much worth it in this instance. You know, she's absolutely done the right thing there, just to regroup and make sure that everything is as it should be. So she stops the clock in 61.49 seconds, and that means she'll pick up 34 penalties in the second phase. 40th place for her at the moment. got 6 more on our list.
Just the music. And Carlos Guerrero from Mexico.
In fact, I think we've had a withdrawal, so I believe we've got 5 left to go. So, Carlos Hank Guerrero is going to be next in with H5, Just the Music. We've been talking a little bit earlier about, you know, the fact that these riders and horses, in order to jump on the major league circuit, they've got to be adaptable to a range of different arenas, a range of different surfaces, arena sizes, and also they need to be equipped to deal with jumping at all different times of day. So, for example, in San Miguel, we had the major classes in the evening under lights in that enormous grass arena there. Here we're doing things a little bit differently. And it's another grass arena, beautifully prepared footing, but these competitions will be taking place during the day, and it's really quite warm actually in Monterrey. Of course, we have this beautiful setting with the mountains all around the arena, but it's quite a different atmosphere because, you know, in San Miguel, once the sun had gone down, things were a little cooler. But they've got a bit of an increased temperature to deal with here. And jumping during the day. It's going to be 4 in total for Carlos Hank Guerrero. 2 time penalties in the first phase and 2 time penalties in the second. He will slot into 33rd place. Conor Swales up next. This is his second ride as well. His previous ride, of course, being Gamble. And taking a gamble on the clock with that first ride. He finished in 27.58 seconds in the second phase. Held the lead for quite some time, but now sits in second with Simon McCarthy just pipping him into that second spot. Nadal, Hero and DB is his second ride. A 9-year-old by Kanan. This is one that Conor's been riding since earlier this year, earlier in 2022. Nicely through that double combination, and he's just taking his time here. As I say, it's a bit of a younger one, a 9-year-old. Previously ridden by James Peters of Belgium as well. But Conor's had 12 top 10 finishes with this horse so far this year. So they've certainly gelled as a partnership very quickly. Jumped well at Spruce Meadows in September as well. Nicely through the double in the second phase as well. Makes light work of the distance, but of course Conor's already had a spin around here, so he knows that the horse would probably need a little bit of balancing for that shorter distance as he gets it. Steadily down to the last, gives it a little bit of a rub, and yeah, that final fence, I think, coming down. So it's 4 in the second phase, and no, excuse me, it's just for time, just gave it a rub at the final fence. So 1 time penalty in phase 1, 3 in phase 2, gives him a total of 4. Conor Swales goes into 34th place, but he's already in second with his first ride. Just 3 competitors still to come then, and we next up have Bliss Hears with Goodbye. Bliss, of course, won our 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel de Allende just a couple of weeks ago. That, though, was with Antidote de Mars, but Goodbye has certainly been going very well as well. San Miguel last year, she only dropped 1 pole over 4 rounds at 5-star level with this horse. So very consistent. Gets a good turn back there. Again, a slight skid on the corner. She was in the top 6 in all competitions that she jumped in with this horse last year here at Monterey. So these shows are certainly ones that are successful for her. And that's looking like a very good time again. 28.63 seconds. Bliss Hears goes into 5th place. Could be another top 6 finish. She could maintain that fantastic record.
Seconds. 5th place so far.
Juan Ortiz now has a second ride here as well. He's riding Vintage, another of these very large horses that Juan often rides. Really takes a lot of skill to be able to pilot these big striding horses around these courses. This is an 11-year-old and one that Juan's really been going very well with recently, and he's really been developing the partnership over the last few months. One he's just been riding since September. Previously it was ridden by Enrique Camiroaga, the Spanish rider. In September, Juan was 8th in the 5-star winning round class at Traverse City with this horse, and these larger arenas are just a little bit easier for a horse of this size. Really covers the ground very well. That's where they save the time. But a really nice time, and you know, as I say, you can see that he doesn't particularly look to be rushing, but the way that the horse covers the ground, he really, really makes up the time. So his time in the second phase was 29.13. Juan Ortiz goes into 10th place. Interestingly, he is 0.13 of a second behind his time on his first ride, Odile VDM. So he's in 9th place with that horse and 10th with Vintage. We also have 3 Show Plus Northern Lights riders or Northern Lights results in a row, 2 for Juan, and then Vanessa Mannix is in 11th. So perhaps a little bit of team talking going on there. They had very similar approaches indeed. This is our final competitor though. Riding for Brazil, this is Eduardo Pereira de Menezes. And the horse is H Big Action. 10-year-old Dutch bred horse by Action Breaker, and with Big Star breeding on the dam side. He's covering the ground well down the far side there, but he's getting quite some pace up as well. He took this horse to Helsinki to the World Cup show, so he's just now setting the horse off around these courses on this side of the world. He's been jumping at Helsinki, Oslo, Barcelona, Saint-Tropez and Brussels as well, so quite a lot of miles on the passport for this combination. Got a good 7th place finish in a 5-star speed class in Helsinki just at the end of last month, and another really good performance here. It's a double clear and a time of 58.07 seconds. It won't be fast enough for the top 10, but it will be fast enough for 15th place in the end. So 15th for the Brazilian rider Eduardo Pereira de Menezes. And as I say, he was our final competitor. 57 coming forward in the end in this competition. And the best of those was Simon McCarthy, taking the win with Andy's boy, Bretonnier. Great double clear and a time in the second phase of 25.75. Connor Swale took second with Gamble. Time in the second phase, 27.58. Ignacio Morin for Argentina takes the third spot with Aquarela B. Their time was 28.04. Jacob Pope takes the fourth spot for the USA with Incento SA. Bliss Hears takes fifth, again for America, with Goodbye. Derek Kenny takes the sixth spot with Sangris Boy. Lily Keenan Karaminka in seventh. Tanimara Macari, the highest placed Mexican competitor, then is in eighth with Cordelia GPZ. Juan Ortiz then takes the 9th and 10th spots with his two rides, Odile VDM and Vintage. And you can see from that leaderboard, out of the top 10, we only have one rider who doesn't feature on our team rosters. So that really bodes for a very exciting team competition. Many of these riders really setting themselves up very well indeed for the team class that will be taking place later this week. But a great competition to kick things off in the 5-star action, and a great win for Simon McCarthy. But the action doesn't stop there. We have another exciting 5-star show jumping competition to bring you today. It will be a jump-off class over fences of 1.50 meter in height. Here you have your 11th to 20th placed competitors. Again, plenty of team riders on the list there as well, down into 20th place. But coming up, we have the 5-star 1.50 meter jump-off class. That will be kicking off at about 3:15 local time. So in just under an hour's time. Tomorrow we will have another 5-star class, this time a speed competition. And then Saturday, of course, we bring you the 5-star Grand Prix, followed by the 5-star team competition on Sunday. So remember, it's a little bit of a different schedule to what we've been used to from the other major league legs. Grand Prix Saturday, team competition on Sunday this week. And we have 4 days of 5-star action for you. They are your top 10. Simon McCarthy, the best of them. And we'll be having the riders for the podium presentation coming into the ring very shortly. Simon McCarthy, Connor Swale and Ignacio Morin, getting things off to an absolutely flying start for us. I'll leave you with that prize giving, and I look forward to being here to take you through the jump-off class in round about an hour's time. See you then.
el Club Hípico La Silla, vamos a estar viviendo la subasta del Stud Book La Silla. También les recordamos que ya se encuentran abiertas las preofertas. Importantes beneficios por preofertar. 5% de descuento a todos los preofertantes y 5% de descuento más al ganador de la preoferta que finalizan hoy a las 19 horas. Así que urgente ingresando a www.subastalaSilla.com que hoy 19 horas finalizan las preofertas y nos vemos mañana viernes en la pista techada Club.
Y vamos a pedir un fuerte aplauso para todos estos jinetes clasificados en esta prueba de 1,40 m de altura. Fuerte el aplauso para recibirlos en la pista. Felicitaciones a todos. Invitamos a la señora Lizeth Valdés a acompañarnos en esta entrega de premios. Y vamos a comenzar con esta entrega de premios. La quinta colocación fue para Bliss Hears y Goodbye de Estados Unidos. Fifth place from Bliss Hears and Goodbye from USA. Felicitaciones. La cuarta colocación es para Jacob Pope con Incento. Fourth place for Jacob Pope and Incento from USA. Felicitaciones. El tercer lugar es para Ignacio Maurín y Acuarela B de Argentina. Fuerte el aplauso para él. Felicitaciones. First place from Ignacio Maurín and Acuarela B, representing Argentina. La segunda colocación es para Conor Swale y Gamble de Irlanda. Second place for Conor Swale and Gamble, representing Ireland. Felicitaciones. Y vamos con el ganador, and the winner is Simon McCarthy and Andy's boy Bretonier from Ireland. Felicitaciones, bien fuerte el aplauso para él, un tiempo imbatible. La señora Lizeth Valdés está entregando este premio. Y ahora nos ponemos de pie porque en honor al ganador vamos a escuchar el himno nacional de Irlanda. Y fuerte el aplauso, felicitaciones Simon McCarthy, Andis Boy Bretonier de Irlanda, ganador de esta prueba. Y los invitamos a dar la vuelta de triunfo por la pista Honor Lap para estos jinetes clasificados en esta prueba. Felicitaciones. Y adelante en esta vuelta Simon McCarthy de Irlanda y sus escoltas Connor
Competition
Sway también
ranking
de Irlanda.
of Team
En
Helios.
el tercer lugar Ignacio Maurín de Argentina, el cuarto Jacob Pope de Estados Unidos y en el quinto lugar Bliss Pierce de Estados Unidos. Felicitaciones a todos, bien fuerte el aplauso para acompañarlos en la vuelta de honor. Felicitaciones a todos.
Fiesta de bienvenida, jueves a las 7 de la noche.
Spencer's straight down the middle of the arena. He's got a few seconds to get home.
We have a new leader right now.
There are all kinds of legends here. Each one of them with their own story. But there is one thing they all have in common. They all drive us to find our greatness. Greatness is not something you were born with, nor a choice. It begins with a dream and transcends languages, generations, and borders. It comes from a team united in body, mind, and spirit. Because by joining forces, the extraordinary can be achieved. True greatness forges a legacy that inspires others to dream more and become more, creating a better world for those who will come next. Legends inspire greatness in others. Let's be legends.